same. Go back as young as you can remember. Who did you grow up with? What did you do? Who did you do it with? Who yelled at you? Who did what to you? The abuse, the addiction, the trauma. This is very similar to psychoanalytic, which is Freud's theory. Okay. And this is the practice of dependent origination. And this is also my way of tracing the root cause for me and for all of you. And then I was just like, yeah, okay. So when I was 6 years old or 5 years old, I remember falling off a bike. Da, da, da. I remember my mom taking me on a train because she was spying on my dad. She thought that he was cheating on her. Then I witnessed my dad and my mom yelling and screaming domestic violence. I was in the closet hiding. I gathered all this information. My first time I was bullied on 16th Street. Okay, I just put all these little details together as much as I can remember. And then I see it unfold and I realize, oh, so this is the making of the life of Jidao. This is the making of this angry young man. And then I realize, okay, all right. Then I focus on my strength after you see all of the links that add up to where you're at right now. Of course, which also entails and includes the relationship failures and can't hold down a job. I was able to not hold down a job for like more than a year. Just the patterns and the frequency and recency. So this is a conversation you're having with yourself in a journal, and I want you to see it, and I wanted me to see me doing the things that I was doing. There's no more running away. The most important awareness here is not to run away from the painful memories, the painful habits, and the self defeating thoughts. Okay, our mind has a wonderful way of tricking ourselves to run away from anything that is painful. But it is exactly that the Buddha taught us to go through the pain, look at it one last time, go through it one last time. It's what I always say because I know people's been running away. I've been running away forever and ever and ever until that pivotal moment in 2015 where I said, "That's it, no more running. I can't do this anymore. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm tired of running away from my own mind. I'm tired of running away from people. I'm tired of hiding, and that's it. Facing it right now. So looking at the truth, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Exactly what you see in the movies. Exactly what you hear in the movies. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And then when I saw everything, and then I realized, all right, this is where I'm going to start changing. I'm going to start changing my anger. I'm going to have more compassion. I'm going to deal with people in a certain way. I'm not going to cuss anymore. I'm not going to treat people this way anymore. It's not all about me. A change in perspective. So it basically what I describe as start to slowly scrub your dish, one angle, one portion at a time until it's squeaky clean. Starting over with a blank slate in your life. And a person can wake up tomorrow and realize, all right, guess what? Today's a new life. Like a born again Christian, born again Buddhist. I think having a teacher on the side also really helps. A life coach, a teacher, perhaps, that pushes you. They constantly monitor your progress and constantly put you back on the wagon. When you fall off the swing, because it's a tough journey. I did it all in 1 year, but I expect people not to do it in 1 year. Some people could take longer than others.
So you mentioned a little while back about writing stuff, journaling, when you're overthinking and when your head is just bouncing around. What would you suggest people to have every day in terms of a journaling routine or a sitting down routine, spending time with yourself, building compassion towards yourself? What does that routine look like daily?
So I don't want people to think that they have to journal forever, nor do they
Yeah.
have to meditate forever. Once you've gotten this down, I don't journal anymore. Maybe one day I go back. I journal here and there to put together a autobiography. Um, but I know what's happening. I know the past, I know the present, and a good guess of what the future will look like. Some of my students are like, "Well, you used to meditate. You were a champion meditator. How come you don't meditate anymore?" I said, "I do. I'm meditating right now." And at the time of this talk, with my eyes open, I'm meditating right now. I know exactly each word that I'm saying. I know exactly what is unfolding, what topic we're talking about. So the Buddha nature of a human is that you don't have to journal anymore and you don't have to meditate anymore when you have tapped into that enlightenment of knowing what's happening. A Buddha is one which knows. And as long as you know what you're eating, how you're going to get to work, that's the best way to get to work, avoid traffic, and all of it connect this flow, this natural flow without depression and anxiety, um, then you're golden. But for now, until that time comes, and when a good qualifying authentic teacher says, yeah, I think you've graduated there, bud. I think you've graduated there. But for now, you must do it the manual way of what I describe it. You have to do it the manual way. You have to trust the teacher and the process. And if you don't trust the teacher, then trust the process, you know? And if you don't trust the process, trust the teacher. It's supposed to go hand in hand of waking up, meditating before work and school, meditating while you eat for lunch, mindfulness eating, meditate at the end of the day, right? Set your intention in the morning and then let go of accumulated habits and emotions at the end of the day. You need to keep a journal. When students come to me, obviously we're lost, okay? We're lost because we don't know what the hell happened yesterday or last week. So now let's track it. Track it. No different than the medical model. It's like, yeah, well, your blood pressure is whacked out. Give me a list next the whole month. Take your blood pressure every day. I want to see a list of your BP. So in Buddhism is the scientific study of the mind. Let's track our habits. Let's find out what the hell has been going on. Why are we sleeping so much? Why are we working so much? Why are we arguing so much? Why we can't manage money? So every day, dear journal, I had done woke up at 11 a.m. 1 p.m. I done wake up at 1 p.m. Drink my Monster Energy drink and trying to head to work and beeped at 5 people on my way to work, screamed at this person. Um, don't like Tom, Dick, and Harry at work. Um, hate my supervisor. Can't get a pay raise. Okay, I want you to write down the complaints. I want you to write down the internal processes. You do this for a week or two, you start to catch yourself, and you're like, "Damn, dude, why am I sleeping till 11?" We spend 1/3 of our lives sleeping, and you're pissing away all the precious time that you can never get back. But what I want students to see is the frequency and recency of what is wholesome and unwholesome, what is conducive, productive, or non-productivity. So that once you see it and you see it for yourself, you shouldn't, if I told you certain things, you shouldn't instantly take it for what it is. You should see yourself, because my job is to point so that you see it yourself. Do you see that you're lazy? Do you see that you're working too much? Do you see that you're not taking care of your wife? Do you see that you're not taking care of little Johnny? Do you see that you're lacking in parenting skills? Do you see how you're not spending quality time with your family? I want you to see, and you see that by and through journaling, because it is the honest report of biofeedback. And then when you see that, now change is a possibility because you realize this is not healthy, this is not good, and I can see the gradual domino effect of my life.
So it's like observing your mind from a spectator's view, but journaling will help you do that over time.
You don't have to be the director of your movie. You just have to write, which is script, which is just tell. Look, the teacher says, Write down your thoughts, feelings, and emotion and your actions. What did you do today? Who did you do it with? Why did you do it? And from what time? I have this sheet. I have this sheet. So I served all areas of law and medicine, so I worked a lot of probation cases. There was one form from a probation office, and I really liked it. And I said, "Can I have this?" So the offender writes down literally an hourly journal and gives it to the PO. And I was just like, "What a great idea!" Because I had bad ADHD back then. I'm like, you know what? I want to take this form and use it for myself. For like 5 years, I still have them. I still have them. I literally charted my life in hour, like the whole day. That's how mindful I was to grab this form and like, yep, I went here. My assignment was here's where I went. This is how much I slept. You saw this V, right? This is V. Where my fingernail is you like is the time, like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? The sleep time was like 9 hours of sleep every day that I got to see this huge V pointing, right? Um, so it was amazing to see this weekly, hourly diary, or or whatever you want to call it. It's one sheet, front and back, 1 week. And when you hold this thing and you're not proud of yourself, or you realize, wow, I literally slept my life away this week, then that's when you wake yourself up.
Yeah.
And
So
and so the power and now you got so many journals of prompting that gets it out of you. I have a few on the other side of the room. Actually, I just gave a few out. You go to Barnes and Noble, going to the self journal section. There's a section, you know, um, 6 feet, and a journal about you, and it pulls things out of you. And these are very insightful. Keyword insightful.
so in that journal that we talked about, that had your basically life divided into hours. If we had to do that, would we do it after the day was over, before the day started, or during the day?
During the day, everybody else who works for city employee has to do it. I remember my dad working at the Asian Face Center, and they have this van that picks up kids after school, and they literally had to log in their odometer. I watched the sheet because the driver had to take the sheet and log in the odometer to and from, time logging on, time logging off, and everything like that. Everyone else has to do it. A police officer, he has to call in when he arrives, when he's on the way, and when he completes his assignment. There's a log for that, and he also has to do a report, to send to his sergeant. Doctors have to dictate. So why not you, as the effective and efficient human that you are, or the start of the cultivating process of an effective, efficient human being? It does take a lot of work, but do it. It needs to be done, and do what needs to be done, said the Buddha.
Sounds like a human is like a business to run. Like we're awake for 12 to 14 hours, or 14 to 16 hours, and then we need at least 7 8 hours of recovery. And then we also have, if you want to take your business up a notch, you have to monitor everything you do, because at the end of the day, you might lose money. And for us, it would be anger, depression, anxiety.
Right, right. And we have to use these available tools because of lack of mindfulness. But eventually, through time, you don't have to do it anymore. Like I just started noticing myself doing it less and less and less and less because I became more mindful, more mindful, more mindful, more mindful, you know, of what's happening. And I think that my jobs also helped me to be mindful as an interpreter in the clinical fields. I have to be in the present moment. I have to know what's happening right now with judges and lawyers and doctors, what medication, how many milligrams, by mouth, tablet, extended release, and so on, and to relay that accurately and to remember. Um, so it's yeah, you know thyself. This is part of knowing thyself, but then the question becomes how. Well, this is part of the how, and it's amazing. This is why people don't realize the power of knowing yourself and how easily other people can manipulate them, and AI can manipulate them because they can't even manage their own time. So now AI is going to manage time for you.
Yeah. So in your life, after you became a monk, what are the like golden Buddhist stories that shaped you as a monk?
Well, the story of Angulimala, the key salient stories, like for example, Angulimala gave us the moral of the story is that you can redeem yourself, you can change. And Angulimala was atrocious murderer. I was not a murderer, but all of us have done some unwholesome things in our lives. And to see literally Angulimala killed thousands of people, and he was going to kill the Buddha. The Buddha was going to be the 1,000. He literally killed 999 people, and the Buddha was going to be the 1,000. Um, to see him become a fully enlightened being was amazing. There are countless stories in the teachings of the Buddha that emphasizes time, that emphasizes the how to differentiate foolishness and the wise. Um, I can't pull stories right now out of my head because, mind you, after I graduated as a monk of 5 years of apprenticeship, I became a clinical monk. That meant that I counseled the general public in meeting where they're at using cognitive behavioral therapy, um, and using some of the pertinent teachings of the Buddha. And I really didn't have time to share stories with them. So I have to actually go back to stories myself. But and then after you get the story, you get the moral point, and then you practice some of these things. So eventually you don't attach onto the stories anymore. You actually live it yourself, buying through daily thought, speech, and action. The Dhammapada is a very powerful book that gives the stories that emphasizes pretty much the more of the story lies in our practice every day of what we do. And so there's different type of monks. There are monks who what we call sutta studies, where they go into details of the Anguttara Nikaya, the Majjhima Nikaya, and then they have superior memory in remembering details of stories. And there are people who are analytical, where they're looking for that in order to change. Each story is a medicine. So we assert that 84,000 teachings, 84,000 types of medicine to meet the student where they're at, the complicated minds, the variety of minds that presents to Buddhism. And our job is to try to tame that mind, try to get them to change themselves in some way, shape, or form, the unwholesome habits of greed, aversion, and ignorance. But the Dhammapada is where I would tell everyone to approach it with curiosity. Um, uh, the biography of the Buddha too. When you read the many versions of the biography of the Buddha, you realize that the many kings too. The stories that I was inspired the most is on leadership. Eckerd College emphasizes us. Hey, y'all graduate and make sure you make a dent in the world. I was in positions of leadership my life. Ooh. Power bank. And the many kings that the Buddha counseled with, the drama between them and how he got the kings to change, a change of heart, is what I hope our leaders of tomorrow are moved by and is inspired by. To not wage war causes war, and to make peace quite fairly quickly. Um, King Ahsoka was one of them, a heart of giving, taking care of the people first before one's needs. Those are stories that really touches my heart, and I wish that I could go to the White House and grab the microphone and share them. Of course, opening the book, um, and at the UN, and somewhere down the line, I just hope leaders have that book underneath their bed, and before they go to bed at night, have a change of heart for world peace. So the variety and vast stories range for individual context, societal context, national and international context as it relates to leadership also.
Recently, well, not very recently, like 2 nights ago, I downloaded on my Kindle Bhagavad Gita. If you know, it's the scripture of the Hinduism,
Yes.
and it opens up with basically how Lord Krishna is kind of guiding this very skilled warrior named Arjun, and they're kind of conversing in a way that Lord Krishna is kind of helping Arjun to see what materialism is and what attachment is and how to detach.
Mm.
And that is, I think, attachment to things, people, and everything is kind of what I'm trying to learn right now. And it's kind of very non-coincidental that the Bhagavad Gita starts with that. And so what are your views on attachment? And how, because attachment is like, I'm having a really hard time between attachment and love for certain things and people because they are very similar, but also if bringing distancing us from certain people and some or objects can bring you pain, then that's attachment, and that is what I'm trying to navigate. So what are your views on attachment?
I think initially everyone attaches to everything and everybody.
Yeah.
We naturally do that in order to ensure our survival and the survival of other people. Particularly in love, we for example, we discover this human and we're like, oh my god, you're amazing, you like pizza too, like me, you like scary movies too, like me, really, I just found another one of me. So we instantly attach quickly and instantaneously attach onto this human. Attachment is wanting this person forever, not wanting them to change, and through time we kind of want to control this person too, and anything that interferes with this person and you, oh boy, we're gonna have a problem. As soon as another person is in the picture, it's a threat. We view it as a threat. um and so through time we realize that breakups happen, people change, people have a change of heart, people change their original standpoint. um and it's really sad, right? I think all of us here have gone through breakups. I've gone through like 7 major breakups in my life.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been in love about 7 times.
Oh.
Yeah, it's so it's like the story of the Buddha, right? He took 7 steps, 7 days after he was born, his mom passed away. Everything has to do with seven in Buddhism, but for me, I've had seven relationships, serious relationships, where I told them I love them. I think I gave out like three promise rings in my life. But now that I look at their lives, my ex's lives, and I realize, oh, I'm glad we done broke up. I am glad it did not turn out the way that I thought way back when, because I've changed and they have changed. And on, as we reflect on, sorry, this 911
Your
TikTok,
ex.
911. Oh God, no. Yeah, that's on my ex, right? Calling me like, what did you just saying about us? You better watch what you say. um, no, I'm still on standby as an interpreter, so that was a medical case that called.
You
Uh,
can you can call him if you want.
no, it's I'm not 911. That's what 911's for. Um, yeah, it's people are a lot of fun when they call me. Sometimes they tell me about the divorce case. I'm like, I'm not the judge. I'm the interpreter. You should save it for the judge. All right. So back on point. When we look back, we realize, well, I'm glad I'm not with that girl no more, because whatever, she done slept with like 10 other guys after I broke up with her, or she done did drugs, or she got into gambling, or she got into all sorts of stuff. People change, and it sucks to sit there and actually do a review on people who we thought different, and now they turned up different. Their heart changed. They became, I don't know, more greedy, more angry, more materialistic, versus a heart of loving kindness, compassion, and understanding. Through time, you realize the Buddha is right when it comes to attachment, which is, the Buddha wanted you to see the three marks of existence. People are subject to impermanence, they're not going to last forever. People are subject to change, and rarely are they under your control. Okay? Anicca, dukkha, anatta. When you see that, just examine throughout your life. And the older you are, in your 20, in your 30s, you start to look back at everybody and you realize, wow, and research tells you every 5 years people typically change. They change location, places, work, military, moves away, find another partner, or knock somebody up. And it's like, wow, changing so rapidly. And were they under your control? When Jacob was still alive, my best friend, we had this plan, this life plan. Whereas, we were going to graduate, we're gonna work on our careers, we're gonna take these vacations and travel the world together. That did not happen. That did not happen. And in our group, there are people that got married, and then 3 years later they got divorced. So I've got to watch a lot of marriages, and I got to watch a lot of divorces. And my dad does immigration law, so he helps the husband petition for the wife to come to the U.S., and then I'm the one who works their divorce cases 2 years later. And research tells us that here is your happiness, your baseline here of happiness. Then you get married, or you get into a serious relationship, and your happiness jumps all the way up. It literally climax, bloop, all the way up, and then about 2 years later, it just goes right back down, close to baseline. So, got to give kudos to people like my parents and many more out there who are able to keep the fire going for 50 years of marriage. It's not like that nowadays anymore. So you enjoy, so non-attachment, loving non-attachment, encountering in a non-attached way would be to enjoy the moment here with them in the present and now, and not to be attached, which is, I'm enjoying this moment with you. We're cracking jokes, we're having a drink, or we're talking about the games. We're discussing homework assignments, we're doing this and that, and then eventually everyone has to return to their quarters, their living quarters, and you realize, well, what a great time with that human, what a great time with that person, but I can't be attached because I know about the three marks of existence, and it is my policy that I realize that they're not going to last forever. They will change, and they're not going to be under my control all the time. When we look at the control aspect of it, you see that just the texting behavior alone. You texting, you call them, and then down the road, you see, like your best friends, right? Say, hey, what up, bro? And then you text them and you hang out, and then it's like, hey, yeah, you want to smoke? You want to spark? And then all of a sudden they fall in love with some girl or some chick, or you know or some dude or whatever, LGBTQIA plus. I'm Buddhist, so I can't discriminate. So we accept everybody. And then like, what? I'm texting John, I'm texting Mike, and you're not picking up no more. So how, it was all fun and games until people change. It was all fun and games until people get married or into a committed relationship. Um, so you just look at that, and you look for evidence to back up the three marks of existence, and that's how you will live in a non-attached way to ensure your own peace. The statement here, one should say to oneself, to ensure my own peace, I should live in a non-attached way, and I should look for evidence every day to back up the three marks of existence as the Buddha have taught.
You have to keep saying, I don't. It doesn't matter if this happens. It doesn't matter if, let's say, you have a girlfriend. We hang out less. It doesn't matter that. For parents, this might be for parents too. Like, it doesn't matter if your kid goes away for college. Like, I will not destroy my own peace, because I think my parent is really attached to us, me and my sibling, and it's like, I question the parenting style that I was grown up with. That, like, if my parent wasn't too attached to me, then it would have been easier for me to be not attached to other people, and especially my romantic relationship. Because I looked at this psychology research. Well, I took Psychology 101, and you have all these pioneering studies on attachment. And one of the studies, I don't know if there was a conclusion on, like, you might know this, like, the way we are attached to our parents determines the way we will be attached to the person in your long-term relationship or serious relationship. And so it's really hard for kids growing up who have attached parents, because then you're going to learn that attachment, and you're going to, in turn, project that attachment outwards.
Right. We call that the attachment theories. I think that's rooted in, right. That's Bowen's. I think that's Bowen's attachment theory. It's been so long since psychology.
It is.
And so in Buddhism we call that causes and conditions, which also goes back to the links of influence, because if this is the way how they abandoned you in the crib, or they held you for so long and could not put you down in the crib, so now due to the causes and conditions, now when your partner leaves you for work and stuff like that, you're like, oh my god, can you like come home and have lunch? It's been 4 hours. But eventually it gets better. Again, Buddhism applies its medicine and teachings onto the human psyche, and eventually we get better. It takes a lot of time to change the organism that we are. So eventually, you will be less attached, less attached, less attached. And isn't that a lifelong practice? It's no wonder why some of us monks dedicate our entire life cycle to the perfection of living non-attached, and not to be moved by anything good or bad, and to achieve the ultimate bliss of peace.
I think that's a great habit to cultivate, even for going back to compassion, because if you just look at the person's soul or their suffering, like you can really relate to them. You can put them you can put them in your shoes, or you can look from their perspective and not be too concerned about just being in the moment and judging their behavior.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you this, and after I tell you this, I'm gonna make a Buddhist dating app. All right.
Okay.
The key in love is ideally you want to date perhaps another Buddhist. Okay. This is why we have like Christian mingles. Maybe I should make one that says Buddhist mingles. And you have this conversation. Eventually, you will go out, you will eat, you will, have wine and spaghetti and stuff together. Somewhere down the line, there has to be a unifying story and platform for both of you to operate on. And that is, Sarah, I love you. You know that I love you, but in a non attached way. And you define it. You define it the way how I just defined it, for all of you. And I love you. I love enjoying time with you. Sex is great. But, I can't get too involved. And everyone is responsible for their own finance. Everyone is responsible for their own time. Um, Hopefully that you want this as much as I do. It has to be a unifying, cordial conversation between two parties in love and non-attached. People get themselves in a lot of trouble when they start depending on the other for emotional needs, financial needs, and it starts to make the relationship very muddy and not what it is, and it's become less fun. And that's why people, they're like, I hate love, or they even say the word F love for that, because they don't know how to love. Our great masters, Venerable Thich have said, wanting to love and not knowing the how wounds the person that we want to love. And yeah, people don't think about that. I love you, but I don't know how to love you. And therefore, you're going to make all sorts of mistakes, directly or indirectly, knowingly or unknowingly. So, when two Buddhists attempts to love, they speak that language, the language of impermanence, the language of change, and the language of the non-self. And and also, they would love unlike any other. They would love like the world has ever seen, because of the death meditation that's being taught, which is, baby, I love you. I'm gonna kiss you this morning, like it's the last day of my life. Um, that I'm gonna love you today, like I'm never gonna like I'm not gonna see you again. And so when two people love like that, it intensifies the experience, creating that nirvanic bliss of feeling. And whether or not, if one of them passes away or dies or changes tomorrow, that's okay, because both parties would have done the best they possibly could with the time that they had, with the people that they were with, and the resources available to them.
It's very powerful.
Mhm.
That's so powerful. Like, I just imagine that if there are two people dating, both did that meditation, and like I could just see how both would give their 100% to the relationship every single day, and one of them wouldn't be so like pushy on each other, or like draining another's energy. But in fact, like both, like this is like saying both will give equal amounts of energy to each other and efforts to maintain that relationship.
the relationship might look very different also, because each party is aware of the me, my, and the I, the practice of the non-self. And we see how much suffering we cause to ourselves and other people when we complain a lot, like my pain, I want a new house, I want ice cream, I, my back pain, my doctor sucks, my teacher sucks. When we hear these me, my, and I, we create this illusion, um, and then we personalize things, and it really really affects our peace and harmony and tranquility of our mind. So and of course, ideally, when the couple is Buddhist, they live mindfully. They're very chill. They're very relaxed. They know when to play with their phone, when not to play with their phone, and know when to absorb the present moment. They live effectively and efficiently, not letting themselves stress each other out or work, home, and school to stress them out. It's like two gods, a god and a goddess, or or vice versa, or you change it around. But literally, two mindful saints, loving as you will, uh, and again, having control over the body of knowledge of the Dhamma, the teachings of the Buddha. One really lives it out, unlike the world has ever seen, loving like the world has never seen. Um, you know, any of us can describe thousands of ways where relationships went wrong, and you can get a PhD in relationships. And so, the Buddha himself gave instructions on how to treat your wife, how to buy her nice things, how wives should treat their husbands. Waking up at a certain time, going to bed at a certain time, taking care of your husband. Like, it's a mutual respect of boundaries, mutual respect and understanding of uh, nurturing each other. Um, and it's beautiful, beautiful. The Buddha taught everything. 84,000 teaching. He literally taught people how to live in details, how to manage your money, how to save for a rainy day. You know, and so that's why I say, I might as well, create a dating Buddhist app.
You should. Too
Buddhist
bad I don't have
mingles.
coding skills.
It's my vision. I mean, you people are going to strive to love constantly and always. It gives them something to look forward to. Um, it's difficult being a monk. I don't expect people to become monks or nuns. And so, yeah, if they're gonna do it, then let's create something for them to operate on, a necessary unifying language, the love language, a Buddhist love language, so we have less despair, less divorces. Our job is to make sure judges don't have that role of divorce courts. You know,
Yeah.
that's the goal. Put them out of business, as Buddhists that we are. So I would invite people again to look deeply into the teachings of the Buddha and what it can do for you, your existing marriage, or your anticipated marriage or committed relationship.
So, what do you think is the greatest mistake young men make in relationships? Like the greatest mistake any young man could make is having too many casual relationships and one-off encounters. But what is the greatest mistake you think young men make in serious relationships going on towards marriage?
They jump in it too quick. They don't. They jump in it too quick because they don't know themselves. They haven't done the work on themselves, and then they jump into it. That's always been the greatest mistake. Always have been and always will be. That's why we are still around. That's why Buddhism is still around, because Buddhism just wants you to understand you and make choices mindfully, because you will have to live with these choices. And so many people live with regrets, as a direct result of not knowing themselves. You know, when you ask questions going back in time to reconstruct their mistake, you realize that they had no idea what they were doing, unaware of their motive, unaware of their intentions, unaware of their feelings, unaware of their thoughts, unaware of a lot of things. And men's health versus women's health. Okay, first of all, men tend to die younger than women. Women live longer than men. Men have more psychological and health problems than women. So we really have to take care of each other. We really have to pass on good information, valid scientific information, um, making more informed choices, more wiser choices. Uh, because I see a lot of despair in men, the decay in men, the age and decay in men very quickly. And there are some students in their 20s that look like 30s, some in 30s look like they're in their 50s, and some in their 50s that look like they're 70 or 80. And it's like, wow, life's done a number on you. You've done a number on you. So I emphasize health for all because, like I said, use the best available science about relationships. Use the best available science in anything. Knowledge is right there in the palm of your hands on the phone.
What's the role of lust in relationships? How, actually, as a monk, how do you control lust? Like, it's not an easy thing to do.
Sure, it is. You practice right and you follow the advice of the Buddha. Simple. Lust, when we fantasize, romanticize, and sexualize another human being, it gets us all sorts of trouble. Do you think that you can just have sex and they're not going to be attached? They'll find it. They'll find something to attach on. They will find something. Do you think you can just have sex with no drama? It's a rare thing. Um, we see the consequences before we jump into it, and it comes with life experience. And like I told you, in my 20s, I've done it all. I've lied, I've cheated, I've stole, I've done it all. I've stolen a lot of hearts, I've broken a lot of hearts, and vice versa. And so, therefore, the wisdom to know quickly that, oh, she's a lot of fun. Really? Hmm. And what are the consequences that comes after that? And people don't really ask themselves that, do they? There are rules and there are consequences. So you better know the rules and you better know the consequences, um, because it's coming. That temporary fun, oh boy. Let's talk about, when we talk about lust, let's talk about the mistakes of that and what people in society have paid, which is 18 years child support. Oops. That's a big oops. And how many big oops out there when they done played and forgot about the consequences for just that couple minutes of fun, of climax, of
Couple minutes, couple hours.
Well, research shows 7 minutes average. And for the ones that can go for a couple hours, kudos to you. But then it's all fun and games until she says, "I tested positive. I'm pregnant." That's what you don't want to hear. So if somebody's positive for something, is as either STDs or somebody's done got knocked up. And that's when you realize, wow, I had sex for anywhere from 7 minutes to a couple of hours, perhaps 2 rounds, all to get high blood pressure at age 25. And now I'm on amlodipine 500 milligrams twice a day. They don't ever think about that. The physiology, the physiological responses of some of these moments in life that, like, you want more happiness. You want more roses and less thorns. And a lot of people steps on thorns all day, every day, and still haven't learned their lessons. I got a student. I got actually a couple, like a few. There's a handful though, handful that, God, they love women. God, it's like they can't live without women. And they got kids. Oh Lord, they got kids, and the amount of child support. I mean,
Wow.
if the Buddha sat here, he would shake his head. He would be like, "Oh, So lust, you know what I mean? It's you got to put that in check. And again, 32parts.com, meditating on the 32 parts of the body. Be if you're going to have sex, be smart about it. Wrap it up. No glove, no love. Period. You know? And have a conversation, and before you have sex, now, you know, you need to ask yourself, can this person be wife material
Exactly.
before you do the dance? You down, I'm down, let's do this. All right? Because if you don't do that, oops, and now they are the mother of your biological child. And if they have bipolar schizophrenia or schizoaffective, controlling, manipulative, gaslighting, oh boy, that's one hell of a karma.
Yeah, I always thought about um, when you should have sex and why you should have sex. And I mean, I'm not gonna say I figured it out, but I think the person you're dating has to be, you have to look for something that's screaming at you that, okay, this could be my potential partner, marriage partner. You can't just like, first of all, I don't think anything's wrong with having sex on first date or second or third date. I mean, I'm not saying it's wrong. It might be totally wrong, but I feel like delaying is the best thing you can do sometimes.
Well,
Like,
the problem is that you you're supposed to have sex after you meet. You guys ever seen like lions, or like, you know what I mean, like other species, like,
mhm,
like when they mate, like turtles and stuff like that. Like when they mate, they're like literally, it's just like you watch them, and it's literally like if you could put words in their mouth, they'd be like, "Hey, what's up, dude? You down? I'm down. Let's do this." You know, face down, ass up. That's the way I like them. And they do what they do. But we humans have become so complicated with sex, the meaning of sex, and like and then prior traumatic experiences also take into account the meaning of sex. What does it mean? Uh, Insecurities along the way, and then the study of sexology. Like I said before, in Japan, when reporter asked these women, why is Japan becoming a sexless state, and many more countries becoming a sexless state? They were like, we'd rather be single because we don't want to get entangled with anybody else. Keyword entangled. That means impossibly complicated problems with other individuals, with the story that they have concocted in their head, and the expectations that they have for men, um,
yeah.
and pornography and everything else in between. So it's like it's not fun anymore. It really, we need sex to remain healthy. We have needs. I
Yeah.
recognize that. I recognize that for all humans, but we've made it our own mind. Have created barriers for humans to maximize their capacity for the enjoyment of life amongst each other in a very short time span of human lifespan. So how do we fix this, right? Damn it. Think simple. You down, I'm down. Let's do this. All right. And do it in a way where somebody's on birth control, and there is a glove. No glove, no love. The existence of condoms and other contraceptive, because if you do it in America, you knock somebody up. We got this abortion bill out there, so be mindful of that. You don't want to get yourself in trouble with the abortion situation. Again, it's all about mindfulness, um, and just keeping it real. Don't lie. A part of the complicated process of human interaction with sex is that they lie. Like, you don't have to overinflate yourself. You are who
Mhm.
you are. If she gonna like you for who you are, she gonna do it. When she feel comfortable enough, she will tell you, and vice versa, male and females.
What's the role of masturbation in Buddhism? I
I
always thought. all religions? Like, what's the role of masturbation?
I'd rather people masturbate than run around and rape each other. That is the short answer. Now, within the monastic order, we cannot masturbate, and nor can someone help us masturbate. It's very clear in the Vinaya. So, sorry,
Yeah,
these power banks are very annoying. They're like, okay,
huge.
yeah, they're huge. People have needs. The more you tell people not to do it, they're gonna do it anyways.
Yeah,
And I think that masturbation is healthy when you have urges. And right now, it's a masturbation is a coping mechanism for people who can't have certain physical needs met, because I just explained earlier that humans have become more complicated and they just can't seem to dance the dance and dance the dance intelligently. We got this field of study which is sexual intelligence. Um, so yeah, I mean, y'all have my kudos. Again, I would rather people do that than rape each other and commit very serious felony offenses in the world. Mm.
but how do you separate porn and masturbation together? Like, how do you? Because it doesn't exist. Masturbation. I have never. I don't know. It's so hard because people who are masturbating are watching porn. Mostly, not
Yeah,
everyone.
I think that you should, because when we know about the human biology, our bodies and our minds and our pituitary glands and our hormones and stuff like that, why do people like porn? Well, millions of years ago we didn't have clothes, and then somewhere down the line the law made it very clear you need to cover your behind up. You need to cover everything up. um Indecent exposure, should not, no, that's a big no. So we put clothes on us. It's really nice covering our bodies, but then we always wonder, our primitive mind is like, we always wonder what she working with down there. We always wonder, is that a B cup or is that a C cup? Men do this, all right? And women do this, right? Women are like, damn, I bet he got a kadonk down there, or whatever. They do that. Humans do that so that they arouse themselves, so that they could go forth and multiply, said in the Bible. So again, it's our primitive mind that, I wonder what other naked people look like. And so that's why they watch porn. And the existence of porn is like now crack for everybody, cocaine for everybody of the mind.
Yeah.
Too much of it is not good for you. It is my standpoint that too much of anything is not good for you. You want to watch porn? You have my blessing. Go ahead, go watch porn. You want to masturbate? Go ahead and masturbate. You want to drink? You want to smoke? Go ahead. Just don't do it so much where you have no idea what on earth is happening. Don't do so much where your health is severely is at risk, and you threaten your body. The Buddha says take care of your body. It's from point A to point B. It is your vehicle for enlightenment. But so I just don't want to see people in the ER or 6 feet under, and it will lead to that. Again, my job is to lead people into stream entry and the 4 stages of enlightenment. And I know sometimes maybe this is not the right time, and people are still coping, and people are still exploring, curiosity. It is through practice and time and change that they will reach certain spiritual heights where these things will mitigate, lessen, and eventually cease. Eventually cease. And when that comes, then you are more closer to enlightenment, if not enlightenment yourself. But it is not my standpoint to say, no, you should not watch porn. No, you should not masturbate. No, you should not have sex. No, you should not smoke and drink. Because I know that once we start saying no, y'all gonna do it anyways. And what am I gonna do? I police everybody. There's no system of enforcement. So we teach the middle way. And though the middle way is now harder, but I assert that we're making incremental progress, um, given the challenges of the 21st century and the evolution of AI and hentai. What is that new AI generated porn? Hentai porn, whatever's going on. Um, we have to know these things. We have to study these things. We have to study sexology and porn and the effects of because it relates to relationships. Addicted to pornography affects relationships. You know, people can't have sex. All these complications with sex and relationships, we have to know in order to counsel the married couple or the committed couples effectively. All holy men have a big task of trying to keep people together as much as possible.
Yeah, and that was very alternative perspective to, like, I had this individual, my one has become one of my friends, Caleb Harris, was on episode 4 of this show, and we were just talking about porn addiction and stuff, and we both agreed on this, that moderation might work, but in our cases it did not work because it was like kind of like opening the floodgates. Depends on, so that's where individual variation comes in play. It's for me, when I think about when I do like a high, if I have very high carb meals, like I binge eat, and so that's why I started eating meat, against my own religion, just because I wanted to get the benefits of meat and not binge eat, because that's how I wanted to live. And so coming back to that porn, we both, me and Caleb, both agreed on why moderation might not be the best. But I can see in some cases moderation could work, because we'll have this AI porn now, and we'll have all sorts of things, sex robots, and like, how are you gonna like stop people from doing the fun they're gonna want and desire?
I also need to give the following disclosure and cite the precept too to educate a little bit about the precept. Number one, these are views of the school of Qidao and not view that encompasses the school of the Theravadins. And there are senior Theravadins that may object what I said previously because of views and changing views through time and history, and also to cite the 5 basic precepts. And one of the precepts is to refrain from sexual misconduct, which basically says that if you want to have sex, make sure it's consensual. And there are also questions in Buddhism like, can I have multiple sexual partners? The question is, make sure that it is consensual, right? We have polyamory. We have the existence of that. We got swingers. Just our society has the existence of these things. We acknowledge them in Buddhism. And again, we assert that make sure that you exercise supreme intelligence, wisdom, and consent so that it doesn't violate law and you don't hurt people, harmful, due to the fact that you're lying or due to existence of certain personal disclosures like HIV diagnosis or STD diagnosis. So again, you want to be able to live a happy, healthy life and not, conclude your life at the end with a lot of enemies and, STDs or life-changing diagnosis. So I need to give that disclosure.
Yeah, that was awesome. It kind of gives you the approach of Buddhism in this modern world. So I appreciate that.
Hmm.
Any last messages to our young audience?
Buddhism is awesome. It's non-toxic. It's very welcoming, and it's there to teach you the middle way of moderation, um, and to live life intelligently. We have a lot of competing issues right now with the biotech, infotech, and the existence of AIs. In an ever complicated world, it is my continuous encouragement for all the young people to look what will work for you. And I hope to inspire all of you buying through my own journey. Um, and the language that I've used today is to let you all know that I'm very real. I don't sugarcoat things. I put myself out there. My life is up for examination, and to help each and every single one human achieve peace and to try to make sense of this complicated world. Our job is to try to make our lives uncomplicated in a complicated world. And hopefully it's a continuous conversation and continuous adjustment of change. But I hope that everyone reflect on what was being said today, and more conversations down the road, more productive conversations down the road, and people will slowly achieve that inner peace, liberation, and freedom that they've yet to experience and yearn for.
Definitely. Well, I have one last question, which I wanted to ask, like the last episode. In this new and changing world, you are famous on TikTok, 1.3 or 1.2 million followers, a very high following. You have your personal desire to educate people on Buddhism and philosophy, um, but there is a slight issue there where you might have faced this. How do you take time off from the virtual world?
I take a lot of time off from the virtual world.
Yeah.
It was intense in the beginning because I had a set goal that I need to first of all walk the talk. Right, I practiced in solitude for the first 5 years for public examination to see that I'm doing exactly what the Buddha wanted us monastics to do, which is find a tree, sit underneath it, and often, and that I have done. So I've demonstrated 5 of my 20 years of meditation for public view to see to inspire other people. And then along the way, when I opened up the counseling sessions, I just hit record, and there it is. There we are. So people to see how I conduct my services and to cater to the people, how I teach, my modality of teaching. And then when the camera is off, I'm groovy. When the camera is off, I'm back to reading. I'm back to meditation. I'm constantly updating my software. I'm exercising. I play extreme sports. I go rock climbing. I, fall, get back up. It's a very balanced life. That's why a lot of people, they don't believe that I'm 36. They're like, you look like you're 20. So I really live the path of moderation. I really live and exemplify it and inspire local students here who come and hang out a lot with me. They come, they hang out, we chat, we laugh. As much as me and you laugh just virtually, can you imagine the amount of laughs that's being shared here locally? The amount of jokes. Oh God, the amount of jokes and rated R jokes that are happening along the way in inspiring Gen Zoomers. So I find it a lot of joy being with students, taking them to and we visit all sorts of places. Like we have a lot of fun. Then when it comes to practice, it's like, all right, so who's ready to go to the cemetery with me? And they're like, okay, and they just go with the flow. You know, we talk about this one thing, and then we turn back to our serious practice, and then we come back. So it's a constant flux of the programs. And again, it's plenty to do in Buddhism. There's never a dull moment. And I try to share that as much as I possibly can with all of you on YouTube. YouTube is where you really get to see like what's happening here. What is the School of Jidao all about? Um, so yeah, you guys don't have to worry. I'm changing with all of you, and however technology is moving, not too much of it, and get plenty of rest and sleep.
Awesome advice for the young folks out there. Thank you for coming again. We had a great talk. I can have you on again. We can chat again soon. But this was awesome. 2 episodes back to back, and I feel like we just should have extended our conversation on again last week. Made it like a 2-3 hour episode because this conversation can just keep on going and going.
Yeah,
But thank you so much.
you're welcome. You're welcome. The other thing is too is sometimes I rush through things because of anticipated topics to be covered all in the 1 hour or 1.5 hours. But one day, if you said we should just focus on relationships and love, then
Yeah.
it'll be a whole shebang on love. And if you wanted Buddhist stories, then I would go back into it. Matter of fact, when I was sitting here before you went on to the next question and went to the table of contents within the bite. within the biography of the Buddha, we have the story of the beautiful Yasodhara,
Hmm.
Chandaka. There's so many stories, in the teachings of the Buddha. But again, it's not my specialty, and I've become quite simple monk versus in my younger days of paying so close to details to everything. But 84,000 teaching, you just think of more, and we'll knock it all off. This is a good week to do it. I think next week a little busy, but for some reason today, a lot of calls, a lot of medical calls. So I gotta return back to that. But yeah, as you have time and we have time, that's how you get the conversations going. And once again, it goes back to the first thing that we discussed today was contributing to knowledge is very important because we are battling the secularism in America, and we're battling the new type of ecocentric narcissism in America, a new evil that lurks in the minds of the young, the extremism in the minds of the young. So every time when they get to see this open dialogue conversation, and I hope that Buddhism eventually spreads even more by and do these talks. And I hope you understand, Harsh, that this is the greatest gift that excels any other gifts in the world, said the Buddha, is the discussion and conversation of the teachings of the Buddha. So it's a supreme abundance of merits for you, for me, for everyone that is involved to receive these treasures in
Hmm.
Buddhism. So, again, but I really appreciate your honesty in identifying the voices in our head every morning, um, that tries to defeat us and our goals and motivations. I share that mutually understanding with you, as there were times in my life where I'm just like, really, just a couple hundred views or a couple thousand followers, but just keep going. Again, just when you don't know the certain people who are eyeballing and watching, they're waiting to invite you to the next TED Talk. You might not know that, or the next university who is going to invite you for a graduation speech. You just don't know. There's so many people out there. But once this circulates around the world, when your time
Hmm.
comes to shine, it will come to shine. If you have a passion for it, people will know. People will
Okay.
know.
I,
But yeah,
I,
it's a very fun conversation and very good questions. Very, very, very deep. Perhaps next time we go even deeper, in depth. A lot of my podcasts have been very surface level and not in depth, so it doesn't do that much justice, I don't feel, for people
right.
to understand the how to love.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we can go in depth, no problem. We have to address every issue and the root of the issues regarding love, relationships, finances, but we can focus on one topic and go in deep. Definitely.
And since that video blew up for you on insecurities, we can also expand on that.
Yeah, that would be
Insecurities.
awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of people struggle with it, especially like people who, let's say, are really attached to their own body. Not to say that you shouldn't be healthy and lean, but they're just too in their heads about their height for that matter, not the weight, but height and certain body parts.
We're more attached to our bodies than anything in the world. That's why
Exactly.
that's why dermatology makes billions of dollars each year. It's
Oh
because
yeah.
they want to preserve everything, no wrinkles, no lines. Um, they they really put so much energy, effort, and money into it,
Mhm.
thinking that it's going to last forever, not applying the three marks of existence. So that's
Yeah.
a big oops right there. I failed to actually say that during the podcast, but yeah, the insecurity thing everyone battles with generation after generations. So to shine light on it would mitigate suffering for a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll chat again soon. Thank you for bringing out your knowledge about compassion, relationships, attachment, and all the other things we talked. I'll definitely keep in touch.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me. Have a wonderful day over there. Take care.
Thank you.